What's up, folks? It's me. Y'all know who me is. And if you don't, I probably put a graphic in there or something. All right. I'm back in the newsroom because today we want to do something a little different. All right. Real quick. If I sound like shit, it's because I'm sick. And I don't mean like sick. I mean like. All right. Today we're gonna do something a little different here. I've been wanting to grow the channel recently, and I thought to myself, you know what? You know what? You know what? Why don't I just do my job for once? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the news. So now for our very first headline for the JNN news. All right. kNeWZ Sports confirms CJ Perry and her husband Miro, formerly known in WWE as Lana and Rusev, have split up in the winter of 2023. Don't panic, okay? Because TMZ sources actually do say, and I quote, as far as for what went wrong, our sources say there wasn't an explosive fight or cheating. They simply just grew apart over the years. In fact, we're told Perry and Miro still remain friends and still plan to work together in the future. So the article does say that this is not kayfabe, this is not a work, but it does mention at the end that neither Lana nor Miro have yet filed for divorce. So, But also, I mean, this is a pretty common thing that happens. It doesn't seem like anything was messy, and it seems like it was pretty amicable. So that's pretty good news for both parties. Now, I'll be following this pretty closely, not gonna lie, because when they actually file for divorce, if and when that does happen, I'm pretty sure the burning question on everyone's mind is, who gets custody of the tank? Switching gears here for a second. In an effort to sympathize with the people of Palestine, famed former pastor and civil rights activist Shaun King takes his Shahada and converts to Islam a day before Ramadan. There is no punchline I have for this headline at all.
Haram!
According to the World Instant Noodles Association, global consumption of instant noodles rose to 121.2 billion servings in 2022. Now, let's stop, take a minute, let's rewind that, let's digest that. Now that makes sense, right? Ramen, fucking delicious, no matter who you are. It don't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, fucking instant noodles, 5 minutes, do you right. This makes even more sense if you tie it to the fact that rent actually went up around that time. The median rent for US shot up. I have a graph over here with like other stuff on it that I prepared in like post-production that'll pretty much tell you everything that you need to know. And like rent goes up, consumption of noodles goes up, because like what else are you gonna fucking eat? Now, during 2021 to 2022, rent did shoot up. Things have been fluctuating a little bit more throughout 2023 to 2024. But let's be real. The cost of living is like kind of crazy right now. I said all that to say this.
Shit getting out of hand now.
Earlier this month, I actually scrolled across a tweet by a person by the name of John Hinckley saying, my concert in Connecticut has been postponed. Now, if you don't know who John Hinckley Jr. is, that's fine, okay? That is absolutely fine, because I actually know who John Hinckley Jr. is. And seeing this tweet kind of gave me a little bit of whiplash, and I had to hit Google myself to make sure that this was the exact same person. Well, it is. John Hinckley Jr. is actually famous for both stalking Jodie Foster and attempting to assassinate Ronald Reagan in 1981. Okay, a few things here. I have some notes. Hinckley tried to shoot the president in 81. He was acquitted from the shooting for reason of insanity, when it was actually discovered that he was suffering from acute psychosis. He was institutionalized from 81 to 2016, and then he was later given his full freedom in 2022. Now get this. Now, since then, dude has actually recorded an album, Gangster, and has been trying to tour. And the aforementioned concert from this tweet that I came across in the middle of the week, guess what? Falls on the 43rd anniversary of the Reagan shooting. And, I mean, hey man, the dude tried to shoot Reagan. Like, what do you want? On the last stop before our main topic, in political news, this election year sees us with a rematch of the 2020 presidential election, which will pit old yeller sleepy Joe Byron's.
What do you want to tell Joe Biden right now?
What's up, baby? Take me out to dinner.
Hey, yo.
Against the untouchable Big Donnie T from Queens, as they both secure enough majority votes to lead their respective parties into the 2024 election. All jokes aside, this election is pretty grim because, let's be honest, as kids, we are all taught that our two-party system of democracy is the answer when they've had 4 long years to decide a better candidate for the Republican Party. And this career criminal going up against Mole Man is the best thing that they could come up with. Our main story tonight concerns TikTok. We all know TikTok. It accompanies us on our way to work. We watch TikToks during lunch. We watch TikToks while we pretend to do our jobs. And we even watch TikToks while on the shitter. Seriously, browsing TikTok will have you taking a 40-minute long shit. You don't even got no dookie left. You just on there watching true crime or some shit. Personally, I'm not a TikTok user. I don't have the app on my phone. And no, I don't think I'm any better than you for not having the app on my phone. But I already spend entirely too much time on social media to begin with. And the app's algorithm works to keep you on it as long as possible. And it seems like it works, because recent studies have actually shown that the average person spends a whopping 52 minutes per day watching TikToks. We are not even aware how much the app affects our lives. I mean, think about it. The average TikTok user is missing, on average, an hour out of their life every single day. Even though I don't have the app, I already still see TikToks on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter mere hours after they already went viral. I just really have no idea what's going on with the TikTok app or how it works.
The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a bill that would ban TikTok in the U.S. unless its Chinese parent company sells the social media platform.
It was an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote, the final vote count coming in at 352 to 65. And because there was so much buy-in from both sides of the aisle, it could certainly influence how the Senate votes whenever this bill gets over to that side of Congress.
So the House of Representatives overwhelmingly and quite easily passed a measure to put the banning of TikTok into a bill, which will then possibly be voted into law in the House of the Senate unless they sell the app to a US-based company in 6 months. And Americans, like this woman here, are understandably very upset.
You are voting against my small business. You are voting against me getting a slice of my American pie. So I will have to, this will highly influence who I vote for, especially in November.
So I want you guys to sit for a second with that statement about this affecting whom that woman is voting for, because I got more about that later. So why is this happening? Well, I've watched a ton of the closing statements, and I'm just going to cherry pick a few of them right quick so you get the general gist of it.
And I'll recognize the gentle lady from Washington.
I reserve.
Gentle lady from Washington reserves.
Is the gentle lady prepared to close?
Prepared to close.
You have no other speakers?
I have one more speaker, and we'd like to close. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to reserve until you are ready to, until your time has expired. Are you prepared to close?
I'm prepared to close.
Okay.
The gentlelady has no further speakers.
The gentle lady from Washington has the right to close.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to close.
Let me explain this really simple. TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is in China. China.
China.
早上好，中国！现在我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是速度与激情比冰淇淋。
China, the country where we get our clothes, our phones, the microchips our cars require to function. Basically, everything in the US is made in China, especially TikTok. And TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is a Chinese-based company. Now, in researching this story, I actually took a considerable amount of time to listen to the closing statements. Now, I had to filter through a couple anti-communist agendas, but these are two very real points often brought up. Number one, China is an authoritarian communist government that very closely monitors the actions of its own citizens and effectively represses its own citizens of their right to information and freedom of speech. American politicians don't like that. As a matter of fact, those things alone are explicitly not American. Every time you register as a user on an app, you have to enter somewhat sensitive information to that app's servers. And maybe giving that info to a Chinese-based company isn't a good idea. And guess what? They're correct, because a ton of the world's cyber attacks actually do come from Chinese hackers. Now we're getting somewhere! Now, both of these reasons make some sense as to why TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is under scrutiny. This is a matter of national security! However, the CEO of TikTok has stated multiple times that they would not honor requests from the Chinese government if they were asked for sensitive American information. And in 2022, Project Texas saw the company obliged with the request to safely move and store American TikTok users' sensitive information to secure US-based servers. And besides, here's another fucking thing.
60 Minutes just recently had a report. I encourage folks to check out the movie The Social Dilemma, by the way. It's not about TikTok, but just social media in general. But they delved into an interesting aspect of this, that apparently in China, the version of TikTok that Chinese citizens get, and particularly kids, is very different from what's served up everywhere else in the world. And apparently it has limits on how much time you can spend on it. It has history experiments and science experiments and things like that, as opposed to just a steady stream of people doing insane things. I'm sure you've heard about the TikTok challenges that have had parents all bent out of shape, and I think rightfully so.
Chinese TikTok is much different than American TikTok, because to comply with regulations to even stay on Chinese web services and app stores in China, TikTok has to pass all user content through a content filter. So most general debauchery, age inappropriate, most Western media, TikTok's critical of the Chinese government, or any mention of Tiananmen Square aren't even seen on Chinese TikTok. Because communism. That puts ByteDance and TikTok out of the hot seat for seemingly following two separate countries' rules and regulations, right? Wrong! Well, guess what? There's fucking more! Back in February, a public security warning was issued from US agencies such as the Secret Service, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Secret Saturdays, and your local Chick-fil-A that Chinese hackers employed by China's intelligence agency have gained access to key infrastructure, primarily in communications, energy, transportation systems, waste and wastewater system sectors in the continental and non-continental United States and its territories. And they've been hiding within our aging, vulnerable, and somewhat outdated cybersecurity systems for about 5 years now. So if that isn't unsettling enough, well, I am going to let old boss from Metal Gear Snake Eater drop one more dime on you.
I want to address all of my colleagues who I think are confused about the First Amendment, confused about the nature of TikTok, and confused about the intentions of the Chinese Communist Party. Let me explain this really simple. TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is in China, and when you're in China, you have to do whatever the Chinese Communist Party says you have to do. That's according to the National Intelligence Law passed in 2017. If they want you to spy for them, you will spy for them. That's how that works. They have a board member from the Chinese Communist Party on ByteDance.
There is an actual board member of the Chinese Communist Party serving a seat at the board of the directors at ByteDance. Couple that with the fact that there's actual proof hackers employed by Chinese intelligence, which, guess what, is a part of the fucking Chinese government, have actually gained access and have been hiding within some of our own infrastructure should they feel the need to attack. And you now have the most damning piece of evidence since the invention of the phrase smoking gun. And why would China want to cyber attack us? Well, I don't know. But while conducting research for this topic, I learned that Emperor Xi Jinping has allegedly been threatening to take Taiwan by force, so it'll be under Chinese rule. Now, if you don't know anything about Taiwan, a very gross oversimplification is that they've been under fucking Chinese rule, seceded, they've been having like war, diplomatic tensions and shit. Since then, they've been a chief exporter of like semiconductors and various consumer electronics to both China and the US. But I guess Xi Jinping wants Taiwan all for himself. And we should note that because of this, the US government allegedly planned to provide support should an attack happen. So in review, TikTok is under threat of ban from US web services and app stores because of a giant conflict of interest presented by them being owned by a Chinese-based company with an actual member of the Chinese Communist Party serving on their board of directors after Chinese intelligence had been caught red-handedly spying on American infrastructure systems in the wake of a threat to annex an entire country by force. So, the truth is, this is all just one giant pissing match between countries with huge implications that absolutely none of us are ready for, with one of our favorite apps being an unfortunate casualty caught in the crossfire. Here, nobody really wins, and this is actually a lot bigger than one of your favorite things being under attack.
You are voting against my small business. You are voting against me getting a slice of my American pie.
She is right. The thousands of everyday people who make a living by owning small businesses that use the app to advertise and build their customer and client base will be affected by this. Hold whatever opinion you want about the app, but it really has changed our world for better or for worse.
This will highly influence who I vote for, especially in November.
And that woman from earlier is again kind of right. This will influence people's decision at the polls in November. However, to make this simple, we have to remember cybersecurity at this level is a bipartisan issue. So I don't at all expect Grandpa Joe to be against the ban at all. And guess what? Big Donnie T from Queens already tried to ban the app during his term in office anyway. So We are just going to have to wait and see what happens in the next 6 months. All right, so real quick, I have new merch. I pulled the trigger. I got myself my very own merch website. I'm selling hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers. JNNmerch.com! Get yourself something nice. I even made a nice 7.5-minute commercial, so if you're not even going to buy anything, at least go watch that, please. This has been a presentation of the Jermaine News Network. I've been Jermaine, and thank you for watching.